Hello, I'm Maralyn Chase, your state senator from the 32nd Legislative District. This week I'd like to talk to you about trade agreements. Since NAFTA was established in 1994 and the WTO came into practice in 1995, the U.S. trade deficit has ballooned from $100 billion to $700 billion. In that same time, our country has lost nearly 5 million manufacturing jobs, in addition to the ever-increasing outsourcing of high-end service sector jobs. If we continue down this path, some experts believe that 29 to 38 million more American jobs will soon head overseas. The global economic crisis, also triggered in part by trade agreement rules that allowed risky financial products to be traded across borders unfettered by regulatory oversight, and exposed the weak underbelly of our economy. It's a mistake to believe that federal trade agreements don't interfere with our own ability to regulate at the state level. When these agreements were originally put in place, federal trade officials began including legally binding constraints on state governments. These agreements placed a range of non-trade issues, such as health care, job creation, and environmental policies under NAFTA and/or WTO jurisdictions. Additional agreements during this era continued this practice and exploded the boundaries of what was traditionally included in trade agreements, such as tariffs and shipping agreements. These new agreements created previously unheard of challenges to states' rights to regulate for their own communities. The good news is that people are starting to wake up. Congress began to put a stop on the litany of bilateral trade agreements proposed by President George W. Bush, although this is not a partisan issue. More and more governors began to refuse to bind their states to comply with the rules of expanding free trade agreements. A poll taken in 2008 showed that likely voters, by a margin of nearly 3 to 1, believed that the U.S. should revise or withdraw from NAFTA. Fortunately, economists, financiers, CEOs, and even former trade negotiators are also beginning to recognize that for our country to dig ourselves out of this hole, we will need to reinvigorate the domestic economy and devise a more balanced trading system. They are joining the chorus of state and federal legislators who are taking a hard look at the unintended negative consequences of some parts of free trade agreements. The debate was reinvigorated during the 2008 presidential campaign, and legislation sponsored by both Democrats and Republicans continues to be shaped to help combat these overreaching agreements. Despite calls for less intrusive trade agreements, the expansion of the WTO remains a possibility. If the WTO expands, it could bring even more important service sectors under its authority, such as healthcare, education, and energy services. The fact that so many people from all walks of life and political affiliations are raising doubts about current trade agreements provides us with a unique opportunity for legislators to help set a new course in U.S. trade policy and policy making. Lawmakers at both the state and federal levels are developing ideas to tackle the problems of job creation, skyrocketing healthcare costs, energy prices, worker protections, piracy of intellectual property, and information technology. These critical policy challenges will highlight why existing trade agreement rules, many of which conflict with promising policy solutions to these crises, must be altered. That's all for this week. Let me know what you think. As always, please contact me with any questions, comments, or concerns. My information is at the bottom of your screen. Thanks for watching.